ZWO and the Seestar app with the recent update is doing some really weird things behind the scenes that I am not sure that I am very happy with. We're going to pull up two images, one that I've been shooting in Nina for a couple nights and one that I shot with the app last night with the new update. And you can see for yourself that there's some things that are going on to raw untouched data, which is very, very troubling and odd. So I'm Chad, this is the Easy Astro Images channel. We are going to inspect some photons tonight. Interesting things to take a look at here. Got some images I've been shooting with my S30 Pro previously and the images that I shot with the app last night, and just kind of wanted to diagnose those and show you exactly some things that are kind of going on under the hood. And if you're maybe looking to get an S50 Pro, some things that you can kind of maybe look forward to or not. We're in SETI Astro Suite Pro here, and what I want to show you is the image on the left here. This is literally only cropped, and the same on the right, and North American Nebula. This is shot with Nina over a couple nights. It's about 5.5 hours of data, 90-second subs, and you can see we got the 3-point polar alignment on. We've got a little bit of eccentricity going on, nothing that Blur X cannot fix. Last night we shot the North American Nebula using 60-second exposures on this, and you can see that the stars are a little bit better. Obviously the Seestar app kind of chops things up a little bit, and frame rejection wasn't bad. All in all, it was a pretty productive night out of the app, and I never would have got that using the regular polar alignment through the app. Just doesn't work. I always get my best alignments when I use the 3-point polar alignment routine in Nina. So that is pretty much how I run my Seestars right now. I go back and forth between it and the app, but right now Nina is allowing me to push the S30 Pro. I could probably even push it to 2 minutes if I really wanted to, but 90 seconds is a good compromise. I, unfortunately, with the S50, and I'm only able to get about 25 seconds, and they look really bad, but Blur Exterminator fixes all of that, and it makes a huge difference. It's a really big upgrade to the S50, running it at like 10-second subs. It gets over the read noise and all of that kind of stuff. So first thing to look at is the dark frame subtraction that they're doing. Is, you know, there's no dark frames. There was dark frames that were used over here, but matching your darks is kind of a really hard thing to do because the temperature swings. You know, the Seestar will take a dark frame calibration when you start, and that's it. So basically what I do is I calibrate and put like a range of temperatures in there and just kind of wing it, and let Graxpert or Dynamic Background kind of divide and take out all of this stuff down here. It looks like they're doing maybe, I don't know if they're doing a periodic one or whatever, but it's very interesting to see that the dark frame subtraction, you know, over here that was applied on the Seestar image looks a little bit better. So again, this is just stacked raw data. No post-processing or nothing yet. Now we can assume that maybe ZWO has built something, because they did kind of change dark frame subtraction, and it's like a clickable option now. They used to just take a dark and then start imaging. So are they using something behind the scenes now to take darks along with that temperature that they put inside of the app out of nowhere? That really doesn't mean anything to anybody personally, but if they're using that to trigger to take a new dark and then add it, and then they are pre-processing that into the raw file before it comes out of the actual app, you know, that could be a good thing. Again, I don't like things being touched, but all in all, this little example here is a positive. You can clearly see that the way that I am doing darks compared to the way that the Seestar is doing it, and we're talking about a very large temperature shift. It's been 110 degrees in Texas for like a month, it seems like. So my Seestar in Nina reports the sensor is that starts about 40 to 41 degrees Celsius at night, and ends up around 32 to 30 in the morning. So like I said, I do one big master dark to kind of capture all of that, and it's probably not the best way to do it, but you just can't match that kind of stuff. Downside of having a non-cooled camera, but this looks like a workaround to produce a better looking image on a phone or a device. So this is kind of their game. The other thing that kind of jumps out at me is how many more stars are visible at a 60-second exposure than a 90-second. That really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then the amount of color compared to this over here, which really doesn't matter because we're going to color balance these and correct them, and then, you know, maybe do some narrowband normalization. So it's pretty odd, the behavior that is coming out of the app. So obviously they're doing some things before it even hits the raw data, which I don't personally like. I would rather have raw data to work with. I do like working with cleaner raw data. I mean, if you look, this does look a lot cleaner, but when you start to process it, it's kind of a different tale. So the first thing we're going to do, and these are unlinked stretches, so we'll link both of these so you can see what the actual process goes through. And you know, you can see there's definitely a little bit heavier of a green over here. So let's just go ahead and we will run the same processes on each of these. So we're going to apply SETI's pedestal remover that will just kind of re-equalize the histogram on everything. And, you know, you get a little bit out of it. It kind of helps in your further end of the process. But when you look at this, when it removes the pedestal and re-equalizes the histogram, you can just see that like they were really pushing the greens on that a lot to basically probably increase the amount of, you know, just signal that we can capture with those sensors. So that's, you know, see what he got rid of. It definitely brought that green down and equalized everything a little bit more. So I'll run a quick background neutralization here on each of these. And we'll go that far, apply that. And then I'm going to run ABE with a 1 degree poly automatic on this. And I am going to divide because I want to get rid of the dark frame subtraction. And we should see all of this stuff down here kind of clean up for us whenever that is all done running. So I don't know why my PC is running a little slow tonight, but it just kind of is. And if we take a look at what it cleaned up, you can kind of see that that's kind of the gradient that it kind of got rid of. And it looks like there's a little bit of it left down there. Kind of is what it is. We'll run it over here. I really want to play around with it a whole lot. Just trying to demonstrate you to show you what is going on kind of underneath the hood. Only thing that changed was the firmware in the Seestar. So obviously using the app and everything. And now after doing a gradient, we can see that it removed a lot of that cast. So we first equalized the green and then we removed a ton of the red. So all of that stuff is just kind of equalizing out, and that looks definitely like a better picture. So I'm definitely happy the way that the edges are cleaned up and everything compared to over here. You know, you could run Graxpert and Graxpert would get rid of pretty much all of this stuff here. It's definitely pretty shocking just looking at the color casting and everything else that we are shifting and moving and everything. And the green makes total sense because there's extra green pixels and all these sensors. They're trying to deliver more to us faster. So that totally makes a lot of sense. But then you remove that and then you're left over with all of this red and blue information and everything. And then we're going to jump to after we do a color calibration. And, you know, I'm actually pretty shocked at how good this image looks after jumping ahead to the color calibration. And I'm still just pretty amazed by the amount of stars that are visible in this. So stick around. This is pretty interesting. Okay, there are our color calibrated images. And, you know, just looking at these two right off the bat, obviously there's more detail here already showing up in the 90-second subs versus the 60 seconds, you know, hour per hour. I mean, we're looking at like 5.5 hours on each of these, you know, from Portal 1. The coloring and stuff and the stars, I mean, I think a lot more people would be happy starting out processing something like this right here, which, you know, isn't a bad place to be. But you can see that the app just adds and does weird things. Balanced than it used to be. I think it's definitely a better place for people to start with. A lot of people could get away with just doing these minor steps that we've done here in our images and be pretty dang happy with everything. You know, when it comes to images like this, I really like to use Frank's denoiser. I think it just does an excellent job. I love having just a nice smooth image, and I think it smooths details on these Seestars way better than even Blur Exterminator does. Blur Exterminator, or Noise Exterminator, I'm sorry, seems to really push and kind of invent details like Psycon does. A lot of people think it's Blur. It's a combination between Blur and Noise Exterminator when you run both of them. But Frank's does, you know, a very, very good job. You can see just how smooth everything looks here, and we're remote desktoped in downstairs, so it's probably not the most beautiful or smoothest for you. 90 seconds is getting us compared to just the 60 seconds. So there is some walking noise and stuff that's going on over here. Sometimes you're better off to run his walking noise. The Seestar actual, the way that it dithers in such a crazy random pattern that it's very hard to duplicate it inside of Nina. That is the one downside. No matter how much exposure you throw at it, you can get it to go wide enough, but you can't get it to go in the multiple directions that it does. If you ever take your Seestar raw images and just kind of like blink through them, you'll see just how much movement there is. When you use Nina, it's only dithering. It's dithering a large amount, but it's not making as big as crazy moves all the time. And so you're kind of left with a little bit of residual walking noise sometimes that you got to deal with, especially when you're dealing with, you know, 5 to 6 hours of integration. If you're throwing a lot of integration at it, then it will typically correct all that itself, and like Noise Exterminator and stuff like that will pretty much handle it. So, but you can see that using Frank's walking noise tool corrected all that, and now we can see just how much more detail and stuff that we have over here in this 90-second sub versus over here. And then we've got all of these kind of really weird like little pops of color and things that it's kind of leaving us with here. And if we want to try to level this out a little bit, we could just go into curves and open that up and drag that down a little bit to darken that background and get rid of all of that weird cast that we got. And then we can bring up our highlights just a little bit. Don't want to get super crazy with that. So we can apply that. And that looks pretty good right there. Over here, we can do the same thing. So we can find ourselves kind of like a dark point over here. And you can see how kind of out of balance the histograms are as far as the coloring and stuff goes. So definitely creating a more punchy image for, I think, people to look at on smart devices, those kind of things. So there is that. And then, you know, if we wanted to add in some final detail and sharpness before you added back in the stars, you know, a quick way to do it is just to use a little bit above Blur Exterminator. We're not going to go through and finish processing all the images, because I wanted to kind of show you a few things as far as what's going underneath the hood. I personally think that they're really tuning the FITS files that come out of this to work better with their stacker. So that way, when you stack a better image, you get a better image out of the Seestar. And in the end, that is going to affect us post-processors, which is kind of like a downside that we really don't want. I want the rawest, cleanest, pure data to work with. And we'll see how Nina behaves tonight to see if that carries over into the actual alpaca stuff. I'm hoping it does not, but it might actually be hard-coded into the way that ZWO is just outputting the actual raw fits now. So we will see after I run that test tonight. The first test, though, that I ran is I'm 50-50 on it. It's good for people that are wanting to process the data that's right there on their computers, their tablets, their phones. But for people like me that want to like post-process and go deep into the rabbit hole, it's kind of a downside because it's doing a lot of things behind the scenes that then I have to work around and correct and everything else. So the more I look at these images, the more I can just kind of see some things that I'm not very happy with. Some things that I am happy with. The dark correction obviously looks a heck of a lot better. And I guess, you know, if it sells more Seestars because people like the way that the AI image enhance works and stuff like that, then so be it. Anyway, that's it, guys. We'll talk to you later. Peace.